Like if you're not eating a clean diet, you're inflamed, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because all our food is filled with seed oils, which are highly inflammatory, right?
That's the
Highly
problem.
inflammatory.
Yeah.
And just a side note, I just got back from a vacation in Europe, and you just, you go up to the, like, if you go up, you look at the bag of Doritos, and it's different ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
In
It's
Europe?
yeah,
Yeah.
different ingredients in Europe. There's no seed oils. You won't see hydrogenated cottonseed oil, safflower
Oh, okay.
oil.
Palm
You don't
oil.
see any palm oil. You don't see any of that stuff. It's
Red
non-existent.
40
Yeah,
and all of that other stuff.
but in
none of
America, it's in all our shit,
Everything.
right? And it's extremely inflammatory. Anyway, it's precision.
Well,
equipment. It can't
that's,
be
I
dinged around.
mean,
Yeah. Just don't tap the table.
you know what? Fuck off. Now it works again.
We're good. Just
All
do
right,
that
rolling.
midstream.
Rolling.
All right,
All
guys.
right.
Welcome.
Well, we're back for another episode, and today we've got our good friend here who used to be on
Special
IHF,
guest, yeah.
IHF
He used to
Insider,
be on the original.
our first podcast back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago. We got
Pre-COVID.
Jeff.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID. Huh?
Yes, Jeff.
God,
Jeff's
it's
on.
such a different world. It really is, huh? Feels like
So, hell yeah, man! It's been a
Everyone,
while.
everyone
Feels like
got
the
more
whole-
sensitive and scared of everything.
Did you see it? They re-implemented the mask mandate in California.
Yeah, they're
Really?
bringing it back already.
They
Unreal.
did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow. I guess it's not weird to see people with a mask on anymore. Like you kind of see before and just like assume like Japanese or whatever. It's like normal for them. But here it was weird. Now you see it and it's kind of like no problem. Like whatever. Okay, I guess you're still scared. But to mandate it again? That's crazy.
Because that governor sucks.
He does. Big balls.
And yet they still don't emphasize if it's not an N95, it ain't doing shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not doing a damn thing against an airborne virus.
Yeah.
I fucking cannot stand masks nowadays. And here in Hawaii, I mean, seriously though, I have a stereotype for it because like a lot of times I'll be driving on the road and some guys
Oh, I know.
fucking impeding speed limit, doing some weird shit. And I'm like, please don't tell me he's wearing a mask. Boom, wearing a fucking mask. And I'm like,
That's
this mother, I'm like,
stereotyping, man.
Driving
Oh
by
my God.
himself with
No,
the windows
seriously.
rolled
Yes.
up,
Yeah,
wearing
yeah.
a
and he's
mask.
got, and I'm like, I fucking knew it. Like, I just,
Jeez.
or that, no, hey, this is a crazy one.
I
So in my building,
Mhm.
right, in my freaking condo, there's a designated smoking area outside. Okay, so
Mhm.
this shit's wild.
Oh, is this your neighbor?
These people, they will go downstairs with their mask on and go outside and smoke. Take the mask down and smoke in the smoking area,
Mm.
then come back in and put it up in the elevator. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you know that kills you, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand it.
It kills you slower.
Right. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
This absolutely
I'll
has
live to be
nothing to do
70.
with
Yeah.
bodybuilding, but
No.
it has to do with health. So, being that said, thank you for coming on our show.
Yeah.
We got the 3 J's
Yeah.
and the 2 M's. So
3
here we
J's
go.
and 2 M's. Let's go.
That's right.
But
That's
I
how we
used to
started.
get
off.
mad at those people, but
Yeah.
I empathize that they're just so propagandized.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, like
I'm not really mad. I'm more like, you're kind of an idiot.
like I want to shake them and say, "Wake up to the truth."
Well, that's what I mean.
You know,
but it's
but
like
then
you're
it's just
kind of
like-
an idiot, but whatever. I'm not really
But then
mad at
again,
them.
you don't know. Maybe like they almost died from COVID. And it was
Yeah.
so bad that they're like,
Yeah, who
know,
knows? I mean, who knows?
And
It's
there's-
just
yeah.
funny.
I mean, there's some people like we all know
Oh yeah,
too that like got hit really, really, really hard by COVID.
really hard.
Whereas like I had it twice and didn't even really know.
I just had a headache
Yeah,
Yeah.
for a
yeah.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm lucky, I guess. Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway,
that's
back
true.
to bodybuilding.
Was it 16?
16.
Episode 16?
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right.
Well, Jeff, it's been a while, and I know you haven't been in the scene for a while, but you started working out again
Yep.
with me.
Oh,
We
yeah.
started training. We're doing our like 2-day a week full body workouts. This is the over 50
It's the
workouts.
start
You know
of
what
it.
I'm saying?
It's the start of it. We're
This
gonna
is the
increase.
over 50s. Yes, we might go to 3 days. We'll go to 3 days.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
But we're not trying to compete. We're just trying to work out and look good and just stay healthy. So
Yep.
that's it. Yeah. Well, how much you weighing now, man? You dropped
I
down a
don't
lot.
even know. Honestly,
Like 195.
probably like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's below 200, unfortunately.
Yeah.
When I
Well,
used to walk around 225, 230,
yeah.
but
He's still good.
yeah.
Smaller. That's all. Hey, you get older, it's better to be smaller. We just had Ernie on the show.
Yeah.
Ernie's like 193 or something. I mean, yeah, and
Yeah.
he's healthy and all
Yeah.
that.
But he's
so-
still super strong.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like, no, I mean, shit, when we work together, outside of
Yeah,
the gym, it's
functionally
like,
strong, yeah, but not
Function-
so much
work
weightlifting strong.
work
Yeah,
strong.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
but functionally strong for our older age,
Oh,
it's a
100%.
lot more
it makes more
conducive to our
sense.
Yeah, it
health
does.
versus trying to be like that big old muscle head.
Oh,
like
yeah.
once at your heaviest, what did you say yours heavy? 120, 130?
What's that?
When you at your heaviest weight?
Oh, well, I mean, I actually, my very heaviest weight when honestly, like I was doing gear, GH and insulin, I got
Oh,
up to
yeah.
260.
God,
260.
That was the cycle.
Damn.
That's what I gave you.
Yeah, and I was still pretty lean at 260. I had full six-pack
You have
abs.
pictures?
I have one picture of it.
Send
Gotta
it to
find it.
Jazz.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll
I do
post
have
it.
one, but it's a funky picture because it's like a Halloween picture. So I'm like in costume.
That's
Still,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay.
never took pictures like it just wasn't a thing, like
Yeah.
we didn't photograph ourselves. In fact, I don't even think we had phones on our cameras back when we were really getting it on.
Not like we do now. No.
Yeah.
I mean, there was
No,
phones, but they were
I don't
they
think I
weren't
had a
that
camera
great.
phone.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I had a flip
Uh,
phone.
Or
Yeah.
disposable cameras was the thing about your
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Shit.
It could be that long ago.
I mean, they're like
Polaroids.
2010, 11,
That's what I'm
12.
saying. It was around 2010,
Yeah, I mean, those
11,
were
12.
yeah.
The
that
guy
was
at Walgreens is developing your film, just like, what the hell? Why is
Yeah, you
everyone-
got to come back next week to pick up your film. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
funny.
about 260 at your heaviest with
Yeah.
gear. So he put you on the protocol.
He did on the GH and insulin protocol because I didn't know much about it honestly at the time. He kind of taught me it, and
Okay.
because he was trying to get bigger.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I said, "Oh, you want to get big?" I said, "Okay, we can."
And I
let's-
think
Insulin.
so from a starting weight of around like 235 or something like that,
up to 260.
and then it was like I got up to 260, and I did not enjoy it. Like I was like, this sucks because I'm very active. I like to hike. I like to do all kinds of stuff. I couldn't even do that. And we were very actively hiking. I just remember like,
Wait, was that more
I just
Laura
remember-
making you hike
Yeah,
more?
yeah.
I think that was more she likes to do it.
no,
and you were going like, you enjoyed it.
oh yeah, I always enjoy. I still
Yeah.
enjoy it.
But I remember you a lot of times you didn't want to
Well,
go.
because she would like, we're going hiking on prep, I'm like,
yeah, that's right. I
I'm
remember
trees
that.
out, like,
I used to hate that you guys did that.
and we would do like a freaking like ridge line hike, like Coolio Ridge all the way to.
I feel like she would
Lyman Hollow.
punish you, like she was punishing you. No, I feel like it was her way because he'd be like, literally, like the
She's
week
gonna
before the
watch this,
show, and then no, good, that's she knows, and I would be like, what are you guys doing? We're doing this freaking hike, and I was like, it's a week out, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I swear to God, she's punishing you,
Yeah.
dude.
Well,
Like,
anyway,
she's
when
doing
I
it.
was 260, I was certainly not a week out,
Yeah,
but I would be like, I would go like, I don't know, we'd literally go on like 6 to 8 mile hikes. And like each mile I'd be like, oh, I gotta rest.
yeah.
When I
yeah.
was never like was the one who tanked out first, needed a rest. I would just go.
I mean, it's a lot of weight.
Yeah,
like
I would get
30
winded so
30 pounds.
fast. Yeah, I'd just get winded like tying my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
that's
that.
normal.
I
That
hate
was
that
yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
normal.
and partially it's because like you got up to that weight rapidly, and your
Yeah.
body's just not used to being
yeah,
there, right?
yeah.
So it's just like all of a sudden you're like 20 pounds heavier, like in well, we all done it post contest,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was like
it's
one
just
of
like
the-
getting out of bed is like,
Oh, yeah.
shit.
that was like one of the kind of like the strategies like an old coach of mine told me to do was like, get up to a weight
Mhm.
and try to hold it there as long as you can.
Yeah,
Just so you can like kind of acclimate. And then two, it's like maybe once you get off all the gear or like as you're dieting, like your body wants to stay heavier. Maybe not fat, but it wants to stay heavier. So it's kind of physiologically kind of like this
New body set point.
yes.
yeah.
Keep the
There you
cardio
go,
in
Mel.
too. I think
Oh,
off
yeah.
season, I think a little bit of off season cardio is good just to keep
Oh, certainly.
because if your body's having a hard time carrying that weight around and
Mhm.
it's having a hard time breathing and being in shape, it's not going to want to get bigger.
Right.
And sometimes I think people don't realize like your body has its own kind of mindset that you have to fight with constantly. And that's one of the things like if you're out of shape and you're trying to put on more muscle, your body's going to be like, listen, dude, we're having a hard time doing this. I'm not putting on any more.
Yeah.
So I think that's to keep from getting so winded and stuff. I think it helps.
There's
I
so
agree.
many factors, right? In that, like, insulin sensitivity, a lot of genetic factors that, you just got all kinds of, your gut microbiome, all that like factors into whether you can get in shape or not, your metabolic health. You can have all kinds of like mitochondrial dysfunction, and all that happens from being out of shape and being insulin resistant and being inflamed.
I'm glad you're
You know?
bringing up all of these points. So,
Mhm.
being that said, that you're keen on health, what's going on internally, were you very big on blood work throughout
Oh,
the?
100%. Yeah.
How frequently would you get your blood work done?
I got I definitely before and after every cycle, but I would get it done. I would get it done quite a bit, quite often, honestly. And I would just go down to the walk-in clinics. You have Here's the problem. Like now we can get it done, right, Hodge? Like over the
VA?
I do mail-in tests. I
yeah,
just
right.
order 'em.
That never used to be allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me that they changed the law or something about
Well,
that.
no, just third-party companies started popping up.
Oh, okay.
They found a way to send a test to your house. You just like slap it on your
Oh, that's
shoulder
what
and
it is.
take it, and then you
Uh-huh.
just mail the vial in.
Oh, okay.
And now there's tons of companies. Like I found people that will prolactin, kidneys, liver, all that stuff.
That's
There's a test
great.
for everything.
Be-
Or it's either that or it'll be there's one where you put dots of blood on all these little on this card on all these little spots and you send it in. So there's a couple different ways to do it depending on what you pick. But yeah, there's a lot of companies that do it now.
Yeah. Well, before all that, I would go down to like any one of those like walk-in clinics, and then you just say, "Hey, look, I have a history of whatever, like having like hypogonadism or something." And they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll do a full hormone panel on you." I'm like, "Right on,"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And then like when it comes back, and they're like, "Okay, your testosterone is 2,600 nanograms per deciliter. We need to talk
Yeah.
about this." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And you got to sit there and listen to some fat doctor or like nurse tell you about how bad it is to have high testosterone, and you just go, okay,
Right.
okay, thanks, doc. Walk out.
Exactly.
Okay, and then if you join the portal thing that
Yep.
they had,
My chart.
if you know how to like read your own bloods, all that, that's what I would do. I would just sit there, and I did that with all my clients too.
So with your testosterone being that high, was your blood lipid levels any like in the red or skewered, or estrogen levels all?
No, like my lipid profile wasn't at all. Now, estrogen, Hodge and I were talking about this the other day. I have a very low propensity to convert estrogen or to cleave estrogen. So basically, my body, aromatase enzyme is very like insignificant. I mean, honestly, I could do like 750 milligrams of test and still like maintain a normal estrogen level. And there's now genetic tests that you can show like what your enzymatic levels are, whether like you're going to have a high propensity to convert estrogen, test to estrogen, or even like your 5-alpha reductase, and your nandrolones and all that kind of stuff. And even all your cytochromes, right? So I think honestly, the healthcare system should all be doing this.
Yep.
Because you get this test, you learn about like all your cytochromes, all your different sex hormone enzymes and all that kind of stuff. And then we know exactly what medications to give you instead of just like trying all these like different things. Well, this works, but this 7-alpha alkaline, you can't break those down. So you can't break down a double methylated drug, so we have to try to give you something else. And it's like one genetic test, you know exactly what kind of drug baseline to give a person.
Yeah.
But that would cut a lot of profits, so we can't have that.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
all about money.
Big Pharma needs their money.
Yeah.
Need to
cer-
keep the people sick.
Yeah, certainly
And,
do.
like, with a
So-
system like the way it is, it's just like kind of how you were saying, but it's like they give you one medication doesn't work, but now they have to give you another medication on top of that one to
Yeah.
like combat side effects.
But
and-
only medications that they get a kickback on, basically, or
Yeah,
whatever
or,
their
yeah,
farmers.
the newest one they
pushing.
need to push.
Yeah.
Here's a free sample, and then we'll fill you up on a refill.
Yeah. So when it came to side effects, like I got very little. Like I've never like had. I can't even remember.
No
Like,
male pattern balding, nothing.
oh no, but that's genetic.
Yeah, you got some of that.
There's no doubt of that, right?
We all got some.
But it's like gyno, like almost never.
Yeah, you never had a guy know. Yeah.
Never
Lucky.
really had
Yeah.
an acne problem. Taking
Nice.
any
Right.
kind of never had any of that stuff. I'm trying
Yeah.
to remember like.
You were just always lean though. I know it was like I always felt like for you too.
But I'm always active too.
Yeah. Well,
And
because
I-
you're always doing hikes. But I was, but I, throughout prep, but I always felt like you just,
no,
I
but
always felt like it was easy for you to
it is
diet. I always
genetically.
felt like it was easy.
Yeah, and there's no doubt there's a genetic component to that too, right?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, but I always ate clean because it made me feel good, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't eat a lot either. That's why I was a pretty bad bodybuilder. Like, you
Yeah.
know, that I would have never like gone national.
Pretty bad. Just won every show he ever did.
Yeah, I mean, like state, local. It just proves that this is a whole nother topic, you know, because genetics plays a huge
Oh,
part
yeah.
in
Yes.
your ability to be a certain level bodybuilder, without a doubt.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you can't build a contest winning physique, but you may have to work at it a whole lot harder than somebody, you know, because we've all seen those guys.
Yeah.
We've had those guys as clients and those girls as clients. They look at weights and grow,
Yeah.
you know, it's just,
And they don't have to
Like
use that
Tay?
much gear.
Huh?
Yeah.
Like Tay.
Tay-
He works hard though.
yeah,
He
Tay
does
works hard.
work.
Yeah, I don't want to mention names because I don't want to, everybody works hard.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Now, you know, but we've seen those guys,
Yeah.
you know, and you know who I'm talking about. Like, you
Oh,
see,
yeah.
yeah. Well, we've seen those guys that they're like, okay, they're just really just like, are you even training? Are you even sweating? You know, and then yet they're just growing year after year.
And then you got the other ones that come in here and just
Ugh,
scream and yell and do everything, and they just
never
don't
change.
you know. And
Yeah.
what we were talking about this actually the other day. You have these bodybuilders, if you want to call them bodybuilders, okay?
Mhm.
They're younger typically, but they come in and we were even talking about it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where they do these isolation movements, right? And you're like, they're not really developed yet. I
No,
mean,
not
they
at
don't
all.
have a lot of muscle, and they're over here doing these isolation movements and really slow and really.
Single
And I'm
joint.
just like, what are you
Yeah,
like,
right.
dude? You don't even have that much muscle. Like, do some compound movements, move some heavy weights, put an overload on your body overall, and then grow. Like these guys are over here, you know, I'm hitting rear delt, you know, or I'm hitting lower lat, or it's just like, what are you doing, bro?
What
Like,
they're doing is they're mimicking like this pro that they saw on
yes,
Instagram
yes.
or online doing these
Who's
isolation
already
who is
250
super
shredded.
developed.
Yes,
you
I
know?
know. And they're like, yeah, I want to look like that guy, but
Yeah.
yeah, but sorry, you're not there yet.
And
We
that-
need, we have the complete opposite too. Guys who are trying to lift heavy, moving weight.
But not using the right muscles to move it. Well, we got that too, right? There's both, right? There's both.
Yeah.
And
They still don't grow.
no, because we had I think Jed and I was talking about it too, about how we were saying that some of these guys that are getting ready for shows, and some people think, oh yeah, no, they should go on the stage to get experience, okay? But I was telling Jed, I said, that's not always good, especially at a first show, because it could be such a horrible experience for them because they look just really aren't ready, that they never want to do it again. You know, that
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God, I don't want to do that again. That was horrible. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they're looking at everybody else going, wow, I don't even look like anybody up here. And so I think as a coach, like, yeah, you have to kind of be like, be honest with the guy, but also be like, hey, know where you're at. And if the person really, really isn't ready to get on stage, sometimes you gotta tell them, hey man, sit this one out.
Yeah.
Let's do a show in a year from now. Let's put some muscle on you. You know, you're not there yet. And it's fine. But yeah,
It's like a requirement for me, for my clients, like to go watch a show
Yeah.
before you ever do a show. Because a lot of people like they want to compete, but they haven't even gone to attend a
like
show.
physically.
Yeah.
They see it on the internet.
They see
but,
internet. They see
We can't go
these
there
guys
again.
in the
I got in
gym.
trouble in the podcast that we did about this.
Ah,
You know.
Yeah, no, we did. We did
Yeah.
do one with this. We were talking about it, right?
Yeah, and I caught a
About
lot,
being ready
I
or
caught a lot
not.
of slack.
But yeah, but you were active then. You were coaching then. So now, you know, it'll be okay. You can bring it up again.
Because I had clients.
But it's true though.
yeah.
You did have a couple of
I
clients.
had a couple of
remember.
clients
I
that
remember.
wanted to do a show and they've never even
But they
seen
weren't
it.
ready,
They've never
dude.
even seen a show on TV. You know.
See, that's crazy to me. Like,
Yeah.
what?
But they just saw the other guys in the gym that were
Yeah.
doing contests and they're like, I want to be that guy. You know?
Well, there's also the people who are like, well, I just want to use that show as a way to have a goal, right?
Hmm.
And you know, and it helps them to achieve a goal, right? But I'm like, okay, I get it, because we had talked about this too, where it kind of waters down the sport now, right? Now you got all these people that are like, hey, they're doing it for the goal, but then the real competitive people are up there too, and then they kind of the show, you got this whole mixture of things going on. And you're like, wait a minute, that person shouldn't even be here, but this person looks good. Like, well, that person lost 25
But
pounds. And
at
look
the
what they
same
did.
time,
Yeah.
the
Like,
promoters and the NPC
Oh,
and all,
sure.
they don't care. They
well,
want the
no,
money.
yeah.
they want
absolutely.
And then
everybody. I mean,
if
sure.
your client or that athlete is adamant about doing the show, right on, go spend your money then.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I think the other thing that kind of sucks about that is not just like watering down a sport, but like if you're going, like I recommend to somebody like to go watch a show first. You see a bunch of like subpar competitors,
Mm.
and you think that that's the level you gotta be at. So they go, oh, I can look like that. When really they need to look like this.
Mhm.
You know, they need to be way better than the guys that showed up at that show. So like the bar is kind of low. So it doesn't just
Yeah.
water it
Yeah.
down. But
So do you think all of
it
you
sets the
guys
bar.
are
And then you
all
do a
coaches?
show and you get blown out
Yeah.
because good guys showed up.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
guys are all coaches. Do you honestly think it's the coach's responsibility to be like, hey, you don't have the muscular development, or we're not there
Yeah.
yet, shredding,
Yes.
cutting
Yeah, no, I
down?
actually
Yes,
do.
but not necessarily to tell them not to do the show, just to
Right.
give them a realization what may happen at that show.
Right.
You
You
know,
don't, yeah,
like,
because you're
yeah,
right. You don't want
yeah.
to say, hey, don't do the show. But you
Yeah.
could be like, hey, I don't think you're ready to do the show. I could say, like, my honest opinion,
Well, I don't
I
say
don't think you're
that.
ready.
I don't
No,
even say,
I would tell people
yeah,
that.
I would say,
I would.
I would say you certainly can do the show, but I don't think you're going to win the show.
Now it depends, right?
And
If-
or I would ask them like, I want to do a show. Do you want to do a show or do you want to win a show?
Yeah.
Well, I want to win a show. Well, you got a couple
well,
more years.
everybody. See,
Yeah.
that's the thing, though. Like, every person, right,
Yeah.
is going to be like, well, I want to win.
See,
They all say that.
but don't you notice a lot of the times these athletes, these people, they have these rose-colored glasses on. They've never looked like that before. So they
Yeah.
think like, fuck, I look good.
I'm
I
gonna
look
kill
good.
it. I'm gonna kill
Until
it.
they stand up on stage
Yeah.
next to the other
Yeah,
person, and it's
right.
like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
not
Well, you know what
ready.
I found? I found that clients, the first show, they're like, a lot of times, I want to win. I want to win. The second show, they're like, yeah, I think hopefully I'll do good. By their fourth or fifth show, they're just
I
like,
just want to play.
yeah, I'm just getting up there. It's just for fun. I just want to do it. You know, hopefully I do better than last. And it's like, because they get the realization of, yeah, it's not what you think it is. And you're not just going to go in there and win every time.
Yeah.
And then so they kind of back it up and they realize, okay, compete because you like to compete. And then hopefully if you win, great. If you
Yeah.
don't, then you don't, you know?
But I had the opposite self-reflection. I would go to, and I was a fan of bodybuilding since the very first show I went to, which was 1989 in
I was born.
Akron, Ohio. Bev Francis was the
Promoter.
That's
no, she wasn't the
legendary.
promoter.
Oh,
She
guest
she
poser.
was the guest poser.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so
wow.
this is
I
how
think you told
far
me about
back
that
that
one.
was, right?
Yeah.
and and I'll never forget. I was in college, and a friend of mine who got me into working out. He's like, oh, the owner of the gym that we were going to was doing the show, and he's like, oh, I want to go watch the owner guy do the show. And he's like, you want to come to the bodybuilding show with me? Like he's going to get us in for free. And I'm like, I don't want to go to a bodybuilding show. That's gay as hell. Like I don't see, like I'm in college. I just want to like go pick up chicks and stuff. And he's like, no, just you got to see it because he's been to a couple of them. He's like, you just got to go. And when I got there, it was like, yeah, it wasn't gay at all. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Not that
No.
there's anything wrong with gay. I'm just saying,
Be
it's just
careful,
like,
Jeff. Be careful.
Yeah.
Jeff's gonna get backlash again. Just like fuck.
yeah. But I mean, it was just like,
Well, yeah. I mean,
I was
that's
blown away by the physiques and all that kind of stuff. And I was a fan of it ever since. And I remember when I first moved here to Hawaii, it was like what, 2000, 2001. I went to every show. I went to the Hawaiian Islands. I went to it was like the Hawaiian Island only for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
Paradise Cup,
Yeah.
right? And then I remember like when Ray did the Stingray, like it was.
yeah.
It,
Did
I
they
think
have
it
the
went in that
Hawaiian,
order.
Hawaiian Classic at the time too?
I don't
or was
remember the
that-
Hawaiian
That
Classic.
might have been before your time, before you
was-
got
yeah,
here.
yeah.
That was a while back.
That was in the 90s.
I just remember the
yeah.
Hawaiian. I was at the Blaisdell,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
then
yeah,
like
it was still there.
yeah, and then like the
Paradise
Cup was always like Sheraton.
Yeah, and
it
then
used to be
Stingray
Pacific
came
Beach
after.
Hotel was the Stingray.
Yeah.
Pac
Mhm.
Beach.
Yeah,
That was when
yeah,
he first did
right,
it, right?
exactly.
First couple years.
Yeah.
First couple years.
So I was
like-
going to all those shows, and I would always look up and be like, I never can compete. These guys are unreal. They're a whole nother
Mm.
level. All the way up until like I was in the 24-hour fitness gym, and it was Cowie. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
like I don't even know if I knew him so much at the time. He's like, bro, are you competing in the show coming up? I'm like, no, I'm going to the show. He's like, oh, you would win. I'm like, no way. And he's like, oh, trust me, you would win. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, not a
Yeah.
chance. And he's like, no, you should do the show. You would win. I guarantee you would
Yeah.
win. Your physique is something else. I'm just like, what? I think I did a show that, no. So this is how that went. I remember like dieting down, even though I didn't have to diet very much because I was always super lean.
Yeah.
Dieting down a number of times. Like the first time I dieted down, I'm like, oh my God, I have no legs. Like, okay, stop this. So I skipped that show. And whatever show came up next, I don't even remember. Like I was just picking them. And the next show came up, diet down. I'm like, oh my God, my arms went away. It's like, okay, that's not going to happen. And I would like literally get down to contest like shape.
And then
like,
back
where it was
out.
just a few weeks out and be like, oh, I can't
Really?
stand the way I look.
Oh, geez.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
And this happened, I want to say like, oh no, the very last one was where I tore my bicep.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah. So I tore my bicep on Valentine's Day. I remember that. And that was the year I was like, I'm doing this. Like, and then I tore my bicep. I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I ended up just like, I had a really great doctor who put it back together. And he's like, oh, you'll be able, by June, you'll be able, like, solid. You can train as heavy as you ever were curling. I'm like, right on. And he was right. And then I had a few people telling me you shouldn't do it with the, who was that? It was like some of the guys over there, like Lionel.
Saying,
I think it was him. Like, you shouldn't
Some
do
of the
it,
guys
dude,
at the
because you
gym,
tore your
yeah,
bicep. It's
yeah.
not right. I'm like, whatever. I still did it and I won.
Hey, Dorian did it too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Like
it was
multiple
that
times.
important to me, like, to be ready,
Yeah.
like what I had a vision in my mind, you know.
You know,
But
that's
but I
really
would
good
have,
that you're super hyper critical of yourself because a lot of people will compete anyways. Fuck, whatever. My legs are gone. I've gone this far. I might as well compete. Versus how you were
yeah,
like,
I
no,
would
fuck
like I
that.
would even show up to shows and being like, and shows that I won, and be like backstage, and I'm like, oh my God, that guy's incredible. Like, I'm not beating him, like, oh my
Yeah.
God, these
Yeah.
guys, there's always like those
Yeah.
people backstage that just look unreal,
Yeah.
and
Backstage.
I
Yeah.
was never that guy. Like, I was never that, like, look at that, oh well, shit, like I'm losing this
No,
show,
but you're that guy that gets to chug a
But
gallon of water
yeah,
backstage, and everyone else is looking at you like, "What the
yeah,
hell?"
that's right. I was always drinking water. I never dehydrated,
That's
and
pretty crazy.
yeah, because I saw what happened. And, by dieting down and doing all those things, you learn that, like, as soon, like, I tried cutting the water type of thing and to see what
Yeah.
happens. Phew, I just like a raisin shrivel up. So I never dropped sodium. I never dropped water. I'd be pounding water backstage. I was so hydrated. I needed that to be full because I was never the biggest guy,
Mm.
but I was usually the leanest one,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, but I would see these guys backstage and I'd be like, oh, I'm never winning this. And then you get on stage and they're like, they don't look so good on stage.
Yeah.
It's just this weird phenomenon, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they-
almost
they can get kinda
Dennis
washed out.
James, right? Dennis James in the gym would just look thick, like no one's beating this guy. We all seen
Yeah.
those videos and pictures from back in the day. And then when he's on stage, you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
You know?
I always liked his mindset though. I like there was one like Olympia pre they do like the interviews, the hell do they call it? Anyways, they
Press
have like
conference.
the press conference. They have all the guys sitting up there on the table and Bob Chicurlo asks questions and he comes with Dennis James and he's like, so the critiques on you have always been you need to bring your waist down. What did you do about it this year? And he's just like, I made my shoulders bigger. I'm like,
That's
that's a good way to
James.
go about
Yeah,
it.
like how are you going to atrophy like your obliques?
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Hmm.
But anyway, I guess going back, it's not all about competing either, right? So we were talking about the kids like doing these isolation exercises,
Yeah.
and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And like, if you could tell your younger self something back
Oh,
then, what would
yeah.
it be? That
Oh,
with the
yeah.
knowledge you have today.
Right. Well, I think part of it too is like, I don't know how much like research these guys are doing
Yeah,
on their own.
that's a
Like,
big. That's
are they
big.
even, are they just like, oh, I have a coach and they just listen? Like,
Right.
because I can tell you, I remember specifically, I was probably like 16, 17 years old. And I'm trying to remember what book it was. Anyway, I was reading it about training and all this. And it was this one part, and they were like breaking down exercises, right? And they're like cable flies, and they're like not recommended for a beginner if you're the 1 to 3 years of training, not recommended.
Mm.
Stick with dumbbells. and it said that. And I remember going, "Oh, okay, well, I wouldn't even do them."
What was
Like
that
I
book?
never did 'em.
Braun?
No, I don't remember the book. I have. Was it Braun?
I
Maybe
think so. It
it
sounds
might
so
have been one of it. Well,
familiar.
it was something from the 90s. I
Yeah.
can't. 'Cause I had so many books, and I remember, and I listened to it. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I need to stick with those dumbbells. Stay away from those cables. Because and I did that for a while. And it was this more for advanced lifting, meaning because right for squeezing all that. You want to build muscle, right? Doing more compound stuff. So that's kind of why I'm like, I wonder, do these guys even do any research at all? They just go, I want to lift. I have a coach. That's it. And then they
Yeah.
don't look
But
up anything.
yeah, I mean, I
you
think
know?
that's like an issue, but I also think too because there's so much content now that like I say this from my own experience having clients who've done it where like they think they're doing research, they mean well, like they 100%
They're
think
looking at the
what they're
wrong
finding,
thing.
yeah, they think what they're finding is good, but they're getting really really bad information, but they believe it because this guy is 20 years experience
Yeah,
or a doctor or something, and it's just like
right.
okay, well shit,
Forgot to include that they're on steroids, the ones
yeah,
that are posting
Right.
up
they're
these
they're
things
Yeah.
to
they're a
do.
genetic freak.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
that too. Yeah.
and like, maybe your client isn't a genetic freak, but he's got the work ethic and got decent genetics.
Mm,
But there's a whole nother factor too, and this is one where I fell in because I'm a massive like science geek and
Yeah.
researcher,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And you can overdo it,
Yeah.
and you overdo like good science. You know what I mean? Because I remember like in the beginning, like, okay, I got to stimulate, myofibular hypertrophy. Got to do it. And then it's like, oh, wait, that's not all. That's not all that's built. I got to stimulate sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. It's just like, okay, so I got to get in there and just do a bunch of pump sets along with the progressive overload. And then you're like, oh, wait, there's another avenue of building muscle. I got to stimulate hyperplasia.
I wish
You
I
know,
wish
I'm
I could
just
have
like,
like captions to your thoughts
Yeah.
as you're working out.
yeah,
I got to optimize mitochondrial function.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, now I got to
Freaking shit.
digestion.
That
The
would
thing
be
is that
intense.
just
yeah.
makes
And
it
it was just
loud.
like, so I would be like constantly like, changing my program to like incorporate all these different stimulus,
Yeah.
and
He's
I'm
like the
just
Rain
like,
Man of
and really
bodybuilding.
like, I mean,
It's a
obviously
little
between
much.
sarcoplasmic and myofibular hypertrophy, you can clearly train for those, but hyperplasia, it just happens.
Happens.
It just, self-proliferation just happens
Yeah.
along with the other hypertrophies. You know what I mean? It's just like you really can't. And
So
here's the problem with exercise science studies, because I would read them all. Like I had a PubMed like publication, and I had all this stuff, right? So I was trying to learn about narcotics, about all kinds of different like supplements and everything.
Yeah.
And then like but exercise science, because there's so many factors that go in there, right? Okay, you have a training program, but it's like you have to put equal emphasis on nutrition and then rest. And that's not part of the parameters of the scientific,
Right.
experiment.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we're just doing this progressive overload with one set of drop sets at the end. We're going to see how effective that is and how much, we're going to do muscle biopsies and see all this kind of stuff. Yeah, but if the guy or gal wasn't eating
Right.
in the control group, well, like it's going to be skewed, right? Or
Yeah.
if the guy or gal has a stressful job and he's not sleeping or she's not sleeping, it's going to be skewed.
Yeah.
So how much, like, it's like taking 1/3 parameter of building muscle and doing a scientific study and say, this is what works, like the
Exactly.
best,
Yeah.
but maybe not
Yeah.
because you're not controlling all those variables, right?
And other variables that you could include into that is people that have lifting experience versus not, like how you guys just talked about as well. It
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. I mean, they don't understand philosophically that this is bodybuilding. Like
Mhm.
they just think, oh, coach gave me this workout routine to do, so I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huge difference.
it is. And it's just like, if you look at like all kinds, like the gold standard of any studies is the triple blind placebo study. And for the audience who doesn't know what that is like, let's just, since we're on the topic, let's take like, I don't know, like like a new derivative of Anavar or something like that, right? And it's like control group A gets the real drug, control group B gets the placebo.
Yeah.
But then you have the, whatever you call them, the clinician or the arbitrator of the study that's collecting the data, of, how much they're building and side effects and all that kind of stuff, and who's divvying the dose, that person knows who's like getting the real one and getting the placebo.
Okay.
And there's going to be a confirmation biases, right? So a triple blind placebo is that group A, group B, and that guy who's given the dose, they don't even
No
know
one
who's getting the
knows.
real drug.
Yeah.
So when he's that guy or gal who's like collecting the data of like whatever's happening, the symptoms, how much muscle they're gaining, all that kind of stuff, there's no, they're not looking, knowing that, oh, you got the real drug, and the person's like, I'm getting stronger and all that kind of stuff, you know. It's like, yeah, you should be, you know. And the other person's like, I felt like I'm getting stronger. Well, you're not, you know, because I know I'm giving you a sugar pill, you know. And so,
Right,
and so
yeah,
it literally
yeah.
takes that out. But you don't have that in exercise science at all.
Nah,
You know, it's just
not
like,
often.
and most of it is epigenetic, right? So what is that?
Mhm.
It's basically like, fill this out, you know, like how did
Yeah.
you feel? Did you, you know, this and that? And it's just like, and that's a lot of that, especially the epigenetic studies, is nutrition. So that's another big one, right? So you got to take everything with a grain of salt, because like, is this a very effective fat loss drug, or is this an effective whatever, you know? And it's just that it's just a survey, really, because you can't control what that person's doing or eating unless they're locked in a cage and you're only
Yeah.
feeding them this
Yes.
one thing. You know, it's like when somebody says, oh, we're going to do a study on the Mediterranean diet. You're really just taking it for face value whether they stuck to the diet, and how many people do
Yeah.
we really know that does that?
Mhm.
Especially if it's one that you're being paid for and you're
Yeah.
at
Oh, yeah.
home and you're not really
In a clinic 24/7.
yeah, or you're not like beholden to your coach to show up and like, I better like drop weight. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like, and it's college students that are being paid. A lot of them are,
Yeah.
you know what
yeah.
I mean? And they're like, and they're just filling out a survey, and then like whoever, whatever publication will post it and be like, oh my God, this vegan diet is phenomenal because all these people said this, this, and this, you know?
Right.
I'm
Well,
like,
and then the other thing with that, especially too, with like kind of a survey, is like the person taking the survey can be influenced a little bit by how it's like given to them
yeah,
very, very easily. So like if I'm like, hey, we're doing this really exciting study about the Mediterranean diet, you know, it's a quick 10 question survey. If you'd be interested in doing it for you or doing it for us, like it'd be really cool. We'll give you a $5 gift card or whatever after. So you're like excited. You're like, well, shit, I might as well give like good answers,
yeah,
you
that's what
know?
I mean. There's like, but so you really like, you know, what's the best is like what we kind of do as coaches, and that's we compare experiences from
Mhm.
all our clients.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of like what during COVID,
Mhm.
you know, what they weren't doing, and something like, I forget what interviewer was asking Robert F. Kennedy, like, what would you have done differently in COVID? And, you know, he's like, first off, I would have developed a database where all doctors, because this was such a novel virus that was going around, nobody knew how to treat anybody, that they could all like come together and put in, it's like, hey, this worked, this didn't, this worked, this didn't.
Mhm.
But they didn't do that, right? Like,
Or not that we know of, because a lot of the things during that season got like censored and
well, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they didn't,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just like, but that's important to coaches, because instead of taking these studies for like so much for the face value, you know, it's just like you get real world like anecdotal evidence. You know, it's like, is this working? Is this not working? You know,
Right.
and we see it in training. You know, like there's just so much in training. You know,
Yeah, I mean that's like one thing. And I'm sure a lot of my newer clients and stuff get a little frustrated about it. Is that like I absolutely hate giving workout plans. You know, where I'm like, okay, 10 to 12 reps with this. Try to go a little bit heavier each set. Like because the thing is like I can't even really say that with 100% confidence because how are you doing those 10 to 12 reps? Like what is heavy to you like that
yeah,
day? Like I'm not with you, for that session.
like gauge intensity, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do
Yeah.
you do that without like, you know,
It makes it really hard to give like a new person that you've never trained with a quality workout plan.
Yeah.
So like at least in my opinion, feel like you guys kind of agree, but it's like it is nearly impossible. So like a
yeah,
lot of times I make these people train with me for the first month at least, and then they get a feel for like how we train when we're together.
mhm,
So I can sort of trust them when they go off on their own, to do a better quality workout.
Mhm.
And then I'll give a workout plan if they absolutely need it. But usually by that time, like they already know what they gotta do.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the
And then
written
there's,
programs.
auto regulation, right? Like you have to know when to push harder, when, well, okay,
Yeah.
like, hey, I didn't sleep very well last night. Like I need to back off a little bit,
Or
or
what
I've been
sucks.
killing it for like 3 weeks and like, man, I'm getting weaker and all that stuff. Okay, I need to deload,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
but nobody can write that in.
No.
Like that, you can't just like, oh,
Not
hey,
not a
train
month in
really hard for
advance.
4 weeks and then take a deload.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like,
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that would kind of like would suck, at least being a coach, right? Is like you write these workouts, and then let's just say they have like really phenomenal progress pretty quickly. Eventually, like these workout plans you're giving aren't enough for them. Like they're not. It's not a good enough workout.
yeah.
But like they don't say anything because they're like, I'm following it. I'm doing exactly what my coach said. So
Mhm.
they're doing a good job. They're following it, but like you don't necessarily get the feedback right away because you wrote this plan for them last month.
Yeah.
To follow this 6-week program, this 8-week program.
I
Yeah.
have a like 50-50 with that. So I do have a few
Mm.
people that I help. Yeah, they follow the plan very well. And others, I take a lot of time and effort and energy to put together a workout plan. And like you see them, I may see them around in the gym and they're not even doing what I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, you just wasted all of my fucking time.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna put much
Oh,
effort in you.
yeah, I know
Where,
that.
yeah.
Was that?
Oh, yeah, no,
I know
that's
that's happened to all of us, I
nutrition
guess.
plans
Yeah.
too. Like,
Nutrition plans too. You put in a lot of time and effort and you see them like doing their own thing. So it's like, all
I
right,
used to
since you got it,
I used to factor that in. I would factor in that they would cheat a little bit,
oh yeah.
like when
But
you're
that's
writing
probably
plans.
a good
Yeah,
idea,
I would
right?
always
Because
do that.
no, I
Sure.
mean, most people
Sure.
they're not 100%,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of fudge the numbers a little bit.
Oh
You
yeah.
kind of knew like, they're probably gonna have a little bit of extra here. Let
You get
me,
a feel for the person too.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
Like
If
like what with Tay, like Tay was like to the T and wouldn't deviate. I
okay,
remember him calling me and be like, "Hey, I want a stick of tried income."
oh, like
Yeah.
that,
Is
yeah.
that
Yeah, I'm not
okay?
even kidding. Right?
That
And
sounds
we
like
used to
Tay.
have this thing we would say where he would be like I would like give him a plan, and like I think for like some of his last like even the Olympia and the Arnold and all that kind of stuff that we did, it's just like I was writing his plan out daily, like a daily nutritional plan,
Jeez.
and he would at the end of it he'd say cardboard, and that was his way of saying I will eat cardboard if you tell me to eat cardboard because I'm not deviating, not even 1 grain of rice, and he wouldn't,
damn.
Yeah,
and it
no.
was
Like
unreal,
he just followed it
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But I knew his body so well, like so well, because I worked
Yeah.
with him for, exclusively that long. Now, you can't possibly have like 30, I don't even say 20 clients where you can know them that well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where
Like
you
these
write daily plans,
online coaching
Yeah.
where they have 30, 40 clients for
Or
one
some of these
guy.
coaches that have like
Yeah.
500 clients.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm like, what is that? Like,
Custom
how do
plan
you-
my
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, granted, they probably have trainers under them, right? They probably have like 10 trainers that they pay to
Yeah.
manage all of
Maybe.
that, right?
But maybe. Like
But,
some do. I feel like that's
but
like
how do you,
a smarter approach. But
like you said, even 20, like you online and you've got 20 competitors, right? Not just clients, that's easy, but competitors that are all doing shows. How do you manage 20 people, man? And they're
Yeah.
all different.
True.
And you're trying to peak all of them. I mean, like
Remember Sean
it's a
Ray's
lot.
first show over here that he made us work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He made us
Where
work
he
the show.
asked us to
I
help
have,
out.
I
Yeah.
have words
I mean,
about that.
I think
that
I had-
not mentioned.
You,
think I had, like-
you had issues.
I think I had,
anyway
like-
with him.
I think I had like 14 clients in that show.
Yeah.
And
you
I was
had
like
about-
blowing my mind. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I was just like,
yeah.
I was like, how did they do it? Like, how did they like?
How does
Okay,
somebody
so
do
I
that?
think sometimes those people can be pretty like superhuman almost, or just
Mhm.
really, really like got their time management down or whatever, or just hustle super hard. Cause like there
You
was
may-
one
yeah, you're
show,
right, yeah.
there was one show that I did,
Mhm.
2014, the Ikaika, that I won, but I also had 4 other clients in that show who 2 of them also won.
Mm.
And then I was running a booth. And I brought our guest poser in, RIP Andy Hammond. But it was like I did all that, one day.
Phew.
And on top of that was like in this weird, like kind of broken up relationship
I was-
thing.
I don't know if you're gonna say that. I was
Yeah.
like,
So it's
like
like,
you going through a breakup for like 4 years or something?
whoa, kind of.
Sorry, but that's true.
Well,
You're like,
someone might see
but
this.
maybe
and
2 years.
have something to
They're
say.
not gonna watch this.
Yeah,
but
no,
don't worry.
but not with my face in it.
Yeah,
But,
100%.
Well,
you know,
Hodge,
like,
you
that
have a
was
lot
one
of
time.
clients.
Hodge.
Hodge, you have a lot of clients. How are you doing it?
What?
Like, what are we talking about here?
What is like the programs?
Yeah, like managing like
Multiples.
individually. Yeah.
So I spend my Saturdays doing. I just go through their check-ins and look at their stuff. I mean, the workouts are pretty. I mean, if they're a lifestyle client, it's not like they need.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Right.
it's like they need a basic diet they can follow for a week and
Mhm.
stuff like that. When it comes to competitors, of course, a little bit different because as they get closer, you're going to be changing more frequently. I honestly
Yeah.
think the leaner you get, the faster your body catches on to what you're doing. So
Yeah.
you have to be more, you have to put more attention into it. That gets a little frustrating, not frustrating, but it gets
Challenging.
more challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for lifestyle people, you'll have one or two where you have to start checking on stuff each day to figure out because they'll get stuck and you'll have some kind of oddball that the rules don't apply to,
Yeah.
and you just figure that out. But for the most part, as long as people stay on their diet and eat clean, they're okay.
Well, he has a cool system. He made like a database and a separate community for all of his clients. He's made like instructional videos for the exercises. Like,
Oh, that's cool.
Way intense.
Yeah.
Like he has a lot of resources for his clients.
Yeah, so the workout plans will have video based, and all the videos are on my YouTube channel. It's me telling them how to do this.
That's
So,
great.
And
Yeah.
and over the years of doing
Yeah.
this, I have multiple tailored programs. So if there was a person that needed a certain program, and then I get a new client in it that may be the same goal or something, like, well, I got this old one, just do this one instead. And I just add it to their profile
Mm.
and they do it. And so I spent time doing all the videos and building multiple different types of programs. And then according to what the person wants, I just attach them to that program
Yeah,
as far
that's
as
good.
working out.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, pretty good system.
Yeah, and like another one is like when you're doing their pharmaceuticals, right?
Mm-hmm,
It's
yeah.
just like everyone's so
Right,
different.
right.
Yeah, it's just
Well, I mean, some coaches just throw everything at them, right?
yeah.
Oh,
Here,
God.
take all that, and then we'll just sort it out.
I feel like that's
you know,
I feel like that's the difference between all the pro, like maybe not Aceto, but definitely like Patrick Tour, Hani, just I mean,
they
name
just
someone,
load them. You're
right?
saying
They just load them.
load them. Yeah.
And, you know, and-
Honey had me on 80 mgs of halotestin for 6 weeks.
Jeez.
How was your liver after that?
Yeah. Yeah.
He had you on
Damn.
80 for
80 for
6 weeks.
I felt
I've never
terrible
heard
and
of that.
super angry. all
Mike
the
said the
fucking
same thing. Mike
time.
said he couldn't
never
even
heard
do
of that.
half of what he wanted him to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, so imagine like, and
That's what I'm saying.
they're usually getting these guys that are genetically like responders to anabolics
Mhm.
Yeah.
because we've seen those guys too, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
we've seen the guys and the gals, you know, but mainly the guys that are, you know, genetically respond to training, just like unbelievable. Even when they, you know, that was like Alo.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Alo was all
Dude.
natural, and he was like within 1 year he grew bigger than me when he was smaller than me. You know,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
what? You know, and it was just like, and he still never touched anything. You know, it's just like and then you got the guys. And you remember that guy? I can't remember his name, but he was that guy that was over at.
Oh,
O'Hagan.
that one guy.
He
Yeah.
looked like nothing, but when he went
wasn't
on
a
here,
competitor. He wasn't a
no,
competitor.
when he went on here, what the hell? He was like Kevin Levrone. Like
Yeah, it was
God.
really
he would literally
weird.
come up like 80 pounds. And that's no exaggeration. He'd be like 80 pounds heavier
I
for
think I-
one cycle
I think
and
I
just look
remember.
nuts.
I remember like
And he'd come off and he'd be like,
yeah, because I remember I didn't see him for a little while, and then I think we were at one of the shows like Stingray or something, and then he went in the back because one of his friends was competing,
yeah,
and then he was standing there, and then I was like, dude, who's that guy?
yeah.
Because he was
You couldn't
so
even
jacked.
recognize him. That's
And
how.
then Jeff goes, "That's the guy," and he was telling me, and I
Yeah.
go, "Wait, that dude?" And you're like, "It's like, yeah," and I was like, "What?" That's the same guy that I saw like 6 months earlier, or whatever.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Holy!" And this guy was just jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and
yeah.
it's just
He
crazy.
was so
Body
responsive.
was super responsive. Yeah.
Yeah, and he would get like
He
crappy
never
gear
competed.
too.
He never
no,
competed.
no, he never did.
Nope.
No, but
Wow.
that guy ended up like overdoing it and actually getting
Didn't
like
he have something?
he had like 2 heart attacks.
Oh,
Oh,
and he was young.
wow.
Yeah, he was
Was
young.
like in his 20s,
Yeah.
something.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
third, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember
Yeah.
him coming up to me in the gym, like, and he was all small again, and I'm like, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore." And I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Oh, I had a second heart attack." Because I remember when he had his first heart attack, I'm like,
I wonder
"Oh."
how much
I mean,
gear was he taking?
Yeah, I was
Shit.
like, it might be gear, but it could also be like that super rapid, weight gain,
Sure.
weight loss.
Of
Yeah,
course.
It's like
yeah.
your cholesterol's probably all
Yeah.
over the fucking
Yeah, and his
place.
blood pressure was through the roof.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you could see it in his face because he was one of those guys who would get the big puffy faces.
Yeah.
Oh, he was
I
probably
mean,
doing like
That guy's shoulders went from
A
here to
bombs,
here.
you know, A
yeah.
bombs,
Jeez.
about 1,500 mgs
Yeah.
a test a week.
Draw.
You know, yeah. Oh, super draw.
Dren.
Oh,
Dude,
dude,
Super Draw
those
was the shit.
Super draw.
Super Draw was awesome.
Super draw gave me some headaches though. I don't know, but super draw, yeah.
Super
Super
Draw is
Draw
fucking
is just
amazing.
basically oral masteron.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
It
works
really is.
so
That's
well.
It's a
good.
7 alpha
Yeah.
alkaline masteron.
But talk about
Super
those
Draw.
hyper responders. Like I have a good friend of mine who's a 212 pro,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna say who, but literally only 150 megs of test and 200 megs of deca, and that's all he does before shows.
Mm.
And like he's a 212 like top 10
But what was
pro.
he doing prior to put on all of that size?
Well,
Good point.
okay,
Yeah.
well he did start young and go like was an athletic person, just kind of into weightlifting,
'Cause
going
you
to the
certainly
gym.
don't need much to maintain.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
then-
That's the
yeah.
part.
But like
yeah.
Depends on how
he
hard he
didn't-
dieted.
He didn't
Yeah.
take anything until because he turned the pro at 36 or 37, and honestly didn't even start taking stuff till he started training to be a bodybuilder
Mm.
2 years before that. So I think a lot of it too is just like that sensitivity to the anabolics,
Mm.
and then having that genetic like propensity towards just growing off of it.
Yeah, I think, well, it's interesting, with like the numbers that you're talking about, because it's a weird sport, right? Because like you ask a guy how much he benches, usually he inflates that number, Oh,
Sure.
I do 500-pound max. I've done 500-pound max.
They
Maybe
de-
it was
they deflate how much they take.
450
Yeah,
maybe, right?
yeah.
But really 500.
Mm.
You ask him how much juice he's done.
Yeah.
Oh, I only do 250. He probably has done
Yeah.
750.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
saying he did,
No,
Right,
yeah,
but,
no,
but
there are guys that do that.
it's the weird, right? It's the opposite,
Yeah.
right? How much gear you take? Oh, I don't take that much gear.
Right.
Oh, how much you lift? Oh, I can do this much.
Right.
It's so funny how
Secretly,
so you
yeah.
always got to kind of add a little more to their cycles. I'm always like, he said 250, he probably did 500. Like
Oh, absolutely.
he said he only did it for 12 weeks. Hey, he probably did it for like 16, maybe even 20 weeks. Like,
I remember
I
seeing
mean-
like some forum, and it was like Jay Cutler taking like 32 IUs of growth a day or
Yeah.
something. I was like, holy
Yeah,
fuck.
he was a big
Like,
because I saw an
I
interview with
kinda
Phil.
believe some of those.
I saw an
some
interview
of
with
those-
Phil Heath,
yeah.
like before he when he first met Jay, and he's
Jay,
like,
yeah.
Jay, what's the secret? And he
Yeah.
goes, he goes, get as much growth hormone as
Yeah.
you can afford.
I remember that
Yeah.
years ago hearing that
Yeah.
yeah.
But if you're
But
not,
it's
if you're
slim
not, honestly,
with
like,
growth.
but even growth hormone, right? So growth hormone works very well in that endomorphic body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what kind of body did Jay have?
A
He was
very
an endomorph.
endomorphic
Look
body.
at when he was like 18, 19, he was freaking endomorphic.
Yeah,
dude.
like very like those heavier guys that put on weight
Yes,
easy, like and
yes,
those guys that are like
That's
they even
yes.
get heavy easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like those guys respond very well. You give GH to like an ectomorph, they're not really
Not really
they're not
seeing a
really
lot.
getting much
Yeah.
from
a
it.
lot, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
It's
guys
like
like
you don't
yeah,
see
you're
them
right.
blow up like the big like and I feel like those like guys with the progenetics, man, GH is like the game changer
Oh
for
man.
them.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like literally changes their physique where you just take a normal guy that doesn't have that and you give him like 8 IUs of G. Okay, granted, I got big and heavy on it, but then I don't think I would have gotten that. Honestly, what was I don't even remember.
What?
I remember like you had me like do 6
The
IUs. I
protocol?
couldn't even handle 6 IUs. I had to drop it to like 4 because I
No,
had-
no, but I was having you do 10, dude.
Yeah, 10. That's right.
Yeah.
It was 10.
I ended up dropping it down to like 4 because the carpal
Yeah.
tunnel was
But
like,
then you were doing Slim too, because I was having you
Yeah.
do I think I was having you do Humalog like post workout, but I think I was only
That's
having
right.
you do I think 5. You worked up to 10 IUs of Slim.
yeah.
It was but it was between 5 to 10. And then the growth you were doing 10 IUs. But you weren't doing growth every day. I think you were only doing like five times a week.
That's
So
right.
you were doing it 10.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was it was post workout.
Yeah.
So all of it was post workout. You
Yeah.
would hit it, then you would post workout before you ate.
But I just remember
Yeah.
like the growth was like too much. I was just like,
Yeah, I remember you were
I
having
couldn't even
issues with it,
hold
but
my cell phone. I'd be like, oh, I was all
Yeah.
cramped. I'm like,
10 was the number though, right?
I had
It's
like,
just the
yeah,
whole vial. You
yeah.
just fucking just
Oh, man.
just load the vial.
I had a pretty
and we
good
got
experience
good
with growth.
for
Oh, yeah.
like cheap
It
too,
was really
right?
good,
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Oh, were those the ones? Is that the ones we were
We're
talking
talking
this?
about this.
Anyways,
we're so incriminating ourselves.
This is years ago, so whatever,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, this
You know,
We're all law-abiding
it
citizens
was
today.
yeah.
China
today.
grade stuff.
Oh no,
No.
we're law abiding now. Yeah. Oh, I've already been on here telling him I got arrested. I've been convicted for it. So whatever, dude. I've already been in trouble for it. So
Yeah.
I'm good now though. But yeah, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, they got bigger problems out there than freaking
Yeah, they do.
people,
I had a-
people trying to take steroids. Shit.
Right. I had a pretty good experience with growth and insulin, but it was one that Trevor from Enhanced Athlete
Oh God.
protocol he gave me.
Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
but it wasn't insane. It was literally like it'd be like 2 IUs of like the Humulin R along with just 2 IUs of growth first thing in the morning. You hit it again, do another 2 IUs an hour and a half later, and that hour and a half needs to be about an hour and a half before you're gonna work out. And then you
Mm,
do a human log of like
mhm.
6 IUs and like your carb mix or whatever right after you finish the workout, and that was it. And like for him or like the studies
So
they
you
had done,
definitely have
just
to eat all day long.
Was it
yeah,
posted?
you have to
Yeah.
eat, but you have to eat, but it's not like the amounts you're taking aren't that much.
That's
Yeah.
very conservative for an enhanced lab because, like,
Yeah,
we're just
yeah.
talking
Yeah,
about
my
Tony
God.
Hughes' like
My God.
Oh
seven
god,
7 day
sludge
20-pound
blood.
protocol thing. So
Yeah,
that's
Well,
crazy.
I
Yeah.
remember you,
but I got up to
because
265.
Jody
Mm.
was. It was so weird. I remember Jody would be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm friends with this guy now," and I was like, "What?" And he's like, becomes friends with Tony
Tony
Hughes
Hughes.
and Trevor, and he's doing webcams with.
They
And
sponsored me.
I'm like, how, what, Jody? You're just like, he would always like end up meeting these people on the internet and then become friends. I was like, what are you doing, dude? It was so funny that you had a bunch of stuff on your channel. Didn't your channel get shut down because of
Yeah,
something?
my channel got shut down because Tony stabbed himself with a
Because of
needle
the Tony,
on.
right?
Well,
Okay,
okay, maybe
we
it
talked
wasn't
about
just
that.
that. YouTube doesn't tell you why. They just say
Yeah.
you like you went
Violated their
against
policies.
community,
Yeah.
whatever. And so it didn't really necessarily say. It said something about like sexual content and drug abuse or something, but they
Mm.
don't tell you like what, so but all I could really
Mhm.
think of was like one of the interviews that I did with Tony. um random tied naked chick runs around in the background, so I tried to blur her out, but you could tell. And then
Yeah.
he's like, yep, I got naked chick in the back. And then he did a shot like in his shoulder
He was
on
constantly doing
camera.
shots on camera.
Yeah,
God,
Yeah.
but
no,
I
that's
don't know if it was
But
like,
him and
but their
Boston
channel.
Lloyd too was doing
Boston
all that
Lloyd,
shit.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this was
360.
this was
Yeah.
at the
that's
same
right.
time, like when my channel got taken down, it was at the same time that they were going after like Enhanced Athlete on purpose. Like
Oh,
the
I see.
Enhanced Athlete page went down,
Yeah.
Tony's page went down, Trevor's
They
page
Yeah,
went
targeted
down,
him.
and then I ended up going down. Then a couple of the other big names with Enhanced Athlete went down too,
Mm.
and it was like we all just got
Yeah,
shut
that
down.
was that
And
time.
then
Yeah.
he was facing jail time.
Yeah.
He went to court. He won eventually, but he was facing jail time for a bunch
But
of
he's a
shit. So,
lawyer. But
His SARMs are so good.
oh, dude, yeah.
Oh
oh
no.
They're so good.
Yeah, we went to the Olympia
yeah, we
Oh
met
yeah,
him.
back in
just
what,
load up.
16, 17, and he had the booth, and they were like throwing all these bottles out. We were grabbing them, and they were giving out free
But
bottles
we
of
were chatting
Cialis
with
and all kinds of stuff.
him
Yeah,
and
it was
Trevor
crazy.
for a while, and then he's like,
100 pills.
"No, this is
Yeah.
I
like this
still
like
have some actually.
Cialis, like free
I still
bottles.
have some of his. Yeah, dude. I mean, it was like free. They were throwing them out, or they would even sell them. They were selling for super cheap too.
Yeah.
It was so cheap.
But we
it
had
was like all
a
that
long
stuff.
conversation with the two of them for a while, and then
Yeah, yeah.
Tony was like, "Hey, come the last day, and we'll give
Right.
you a bunch of shit."
Yeah,
So like we were there
walked
at the
over
expo
there.
every day, and
Yeah.
we came the last day, and what? Yeah, we got
We
like
have
he
a
gave us
video.
like clenbuterol, Cialis, all the shit that
Yeah.
you weren't like given.
Oh,
Like
yeah, I
he
know.
had all the good
It was
shit
like here,
underneath.
it was 100.
He gave us a
100 pills in
whole
the
bunch of
bottles, yeah.
stuff. I
Yeah,
can't.
so I know a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I still have some of those bottles.
Yeah, it was like 16, I think. I saw all of you guys. You guys were monsters
And
back
we,
then.
oh yeah, and we had a video, Tony
Huge.
Huge, and I put it on my Instagram
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, and he's all flexing, and I still, that was
Yeah,
funny.
he
we
gave
were
us a whole
messing
bunch of
around.
free shit. That was
Yeah.
cool.
Dude, his
Yeah.
MK677, when I would put people
Oh,
on that, they would gain
MK677.
10, 15
I
pounds and
love-
their abs would start showing up.
Oh yeah, I love
Dude,
677.
10 milligrams before bed and 12 milligrams when they
Oh,
wake
yeah.
up, and they would just change.
Yeah.
His SARMs were awesome.
I don't think
Oh,
they
yeah.
make them like that anymore.
No.
Huh?
No,
Well, speaking of SARMs, because that's a good one. Like what? Because I know you did use a lot of different ones, and like I mean, what do you? Well,
I'm-
there's I know they use BBC and Team TV and all that, but
those are peptides.
yeah, peptides.
Yeah.
Well, peptide SARMs. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
grouping them together, but
Like
what
honestly,
do
they
you, what do
only
you
they-
like between both?
honestly
those?
like even like MK677. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily a SARM. It's
Right. That's
secretagogue.
more
growth hormone
yeah,
secretagogue.
Yeah.
You know,
But what was
But
your stuff that you liked?
that one was my favorite by far. You know,
The MK.
yeah. Oh yeah. And you know, we've kind of gone over this maybe a long time ago, but in certain people, it's actually more effective than HGH itself.
Yeah, I always found that interesting.
Yeah, and it's because of see if I remember all the science in this.
I'm pretty sure I'm one. I remember we talked about
Yeah,
it before.
right,
Because
exact-
the side effects, I would have to take it like once every 3 days or so because it was so strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just like they did this, like they discovered in studies with dwarfs because that's really where the HGH came from, is to combat dwarfism. And they did these studies and they figured out that like nearly 50% of the population didn't respond to the growth hormone. It was the 191 amino acid growth hormone because there was that 192 like
Yes.
analog.
Yeah.
They did the 191, but then it was the kilodalton weight of the drug, right? So like the 191, if I remember correctly, is 122 kilodalton, and there's a separate one that your body produces. It's 191 amino acid like peptide, but it's 120 kilodalton. And the 122 kilodalton, 50% of the population like responds to that. And that's all synthetic HGH. But if you take a secretagogue like MK677, which is a ghrelin agonist, like most of them work, by stimulating that, you're getting what your body actually makes,
Yeah.
right? So you may respond better to that more than the synthetic HGH. So that was a game changer, honestly, for a lot of people. Because
Oh yeah.
when I found somebody didn't respond very much to that, they usually always responded to MK677.
Yeah. I mean, plus like for me, it was like improved sleep was huge because like I've
Yeah.
always slept terribly. Like,
Yeah.
I might have like a good like month where it's like, I get 5-6 hours a night and I feel fine. And then most of the time it's like 5-6 hours, but I'm waking up every 30 minutes, like fully awake and like, God, I gotta go back to sleep. And then the whole next day I'm just exhausted. But like with the MK677, I felt so much more consistent
Yeah.
with my sleep. And it was like a pretty long-term thing where I didn't have to take it all the time. Like it was like a permanent effect that sort of helped me, for prolonged time after taking it, which was
And what's
cool.
kind of cool
Like,
is you can potentiate it too, right?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
with a somatostatin inhibitor, right? So it's like we all heard of myostatin, inhibits like hypertrophy, basically of the anabolism of your muscle cells. But somatostatin inhibits cell proliferation, right? Which HGH does. Basically, increases, a lot of your muscle cells. It doesn't increase the size of them, even though there's an osmotic effect where it draws water into the cell. That's the sarcoplasmic effect of it, but it's increasing, muscle cell proliferation, right? So that's a big through IGF-1 pathway. And it's like by taking a somatostatin inhibitor like huperzine A,
yeah.
zinc is even, I can't think of the other. Melatonin, I think, is another somatostatin inhibitor. So
Melatonin
you
and I
actually
don't
get,
get along.
huh?
I said melatonin and I don't get along for some
No,
reason.
it's like if it's not a great drug to actually sleep. Like you're better off taking 5-hydroxyl-tryptophan, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
down that pathway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the 5-HTP, or I like
Yeah.
GABA. GABA's like my go-to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
GABA helps the most.
So it's like you can get more out of that MK67. I'm all about potentiation in all kinds of drugs because I'm about like, and if you understand the pharmacodynamics of drugs, then you can understand how to potentiate them
Right.
or like how to, suppress them, the side effects of certain things
Right.
like nandrolone's a popular one, or 19-nortestosterone as we used to remember it, being, which it's pretty crazy because if you look at the molecular structure of testosterone, you got like the 4 hexagons, and then the half hexagon up in the corner, the double,
Yeah.
double, double, double in that little half deal.
Yeah.
The difference between testosterone, molecular structure of testosterone and nandrolone is 1 hydrogen atom at the 19th position. That's the 19-nortestosterone. And the drug is dramatically different,
Oh yeah.
and its pharmacology and pharmacodynamics in the body. It doesn't get broken down by the aromatase enzyme. It does go through 5-alpha reductation, and with that, it turns into 5-alpha 5-alpha dihydronandrolone, which is a much weaker version than nandrolone itself. And about, depending on how much your body produces that 5-alpha reductase, you could be breaking that 40-50% of that drug down into this much weaker drug. So just by taking a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor like finasteride or dutasteride, Propecia,
Yeah.
you can fully like potentiate that drug and take so much less, not get the swelling in the feet,
Yeah.
or get that dopaminergic transmission like stoppage in that synapses gap in your brain. Basically it inhibits that.
And save your hair.
Yeah, it's just like, and it's just like if
But would it be worth it for you to go on like finasteride and with the probabilities of you getting like a post-finasteride syndrome because the amount of finasteride maybe?
well, possibly, right? Because like it's basically, well, here's the thing about nandrolone, right? It's just like, because there's a lot of different pathways, because that 5-alpha dihydronandrolone is a progesterone, and it's got a strong binding affinity to the progesterone receptors.
Mm-hmm.
And what is a progesterone? It's it promotes hypogonadism, right? So it literally shuts your HPTA, hypothalamus pituitary testicular axis down, so your body stops making luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Basically, what finasteride is doing
Mm-hmm.
too, right? Shutting the,
LH
making you
and FSH.
hypogonadal,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
In your balls,
and all
guys.
that
In your
stuff.
balls.
But
Shrivel your balls up, guys.
All shafts.
Google's your friend on this podcast, just so you know.
Yeah.
Just Google when Jeff's talking. There's a lot of Google.
Yeah,
Use
there's
it.
a-
Use it. Use it.
but and then but then like testosterone also gets broken down by the 5-alpha reductase and converts to a much stronger version of itself, and that's dihydrotestosterone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we're like, we don't want to do that, right? Because most people aren't doing a nandrolone only cycle.
No.
They're doing test and nandrolone,
Mhm.
and we don't want to inhibit the DHT that we're making.
You know, in the 80s, it was very popular, though. A lot
I
of
know,
guys were
I
doing
heard that.
Deca,
Well,
like
Tony did it.
nandrolone.
Young
Yeah.
guys,
That
young
was
guys,
very
'cause
popular.
you
No
get over
test,
45,
nandrolone. Yeah.
That was popular.
dopamine inhibition that you're getting is pretty radical. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, these guys were probably in their 20s.
yeah,
I'm sure,
exactly.
but yeah, that was the thing in the 80s. I remember.
Or were they
like,
taking mostly the Deca for like joint and
Well, that was popular too, right? Oh, you're joints. But I
Yeah.
mean, it didn't make any sense. Dudes in their 20s, I'm like, do you even have joint pains, bro? Probably not. I mean, it's just,
But if you want to like
It was
get the
the
most
thing.
out of your nandrolone, like you can take that
Yeah.
that 5-alpha reductase
Yeah.
inhibitor of your choice,
right.
and then you can take a little bit of masteron, and then you got the DHT back, or
Right.
the
Yeah,
proviron.
put that back in
And
there.
now
Yeah.
you're not really inhibiting anything. Like, I mean, you kind of are, but you're shutting down when you're taking shit anyway.
Yeah.
All that shit is shutting down.
Now you're just kind of you're just running optimally, even though it's exogenous.
But you're taking a whole lot less, right? So
Yeah.
it's just like,
what about like upregulating your androgen receptors by using injectable carnitine instead of having to take a copious amounts of, or like a bolus injections of tests?
right, and I've heard this as well, like that it does that to your engine. But I don't know to what degree it does. Like I heard that's one of the things, but I haven't seen a study where it's actually been measured. Because they can say that, like,
Yeah.
it upregulates your androgen receptors. Okay, well, if
But
you
who
see
wants
a
to do that every
mild
day,
little
too?
upgrade that might not even result to any kind of muscle growth,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated doing
they can
that.
say that, but by how much? Because that I never heard.
I
And maybe
have no
it's out there. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I have
Honestly, like
no
I've been out
idea,
of
but
this loop for a while.
for like
I used to
cognitive
love
health.
injectable carnitine.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't like it. I didn't like the injectable. It fucking hurt.
Well,
Really
every
bad.
day. Every day.
Every
Yeah,
day.
and every day
Finality.
I
it's like
hated that shit.
1,000 meg.
I-
and, like
I tried to
giant
find the
fucking-
smallest needles, and I was just like, it's like, what? And I was like, oh god, I'm like every day. I was like, dude, I can't.
Yeah.
This is like.
I
too
didn't
much.
have to diet hard, but when I used that, I
Yeah.
don't even think I dieted.
Wow. Yeah, no,
Just like-
you were a huge believer on that.
Yeah, it was just like,
And I remember, and I think I actually started doing it because of you,
yeah.
because you were so big on it. I was like, because I was like, I don't want to do it every day,
I
but
kind
I
of
tried
remember.
it.
I'm like, I am eating like almost like more than I'm eating in the off season, and I'm just
Yeah.
dropping weight, like fat, like body fat. I'm just dropping body fat.
What about? I
Yeah.
know you're like really into cognitive health too.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about the carnitine. I use like a CDL carnitine that helps a lot, along with like other things. But
That's got
what
a
do you find?
40% more bioavailability than regular
Yeah.
carnitine. Yeah.
Or like what other things would you recommend for that? Like just maybe like in general for anyone watching. Like if you want
Like
to just
brain health and
yeah,
cognition
your,
and all
like
that
your
kind
brain
of stuff.
health
Nootropics,
and
any type
like yeah,
Okay, so I've tried them all.
peptides also.
yeah, those are fun.
Like it's just like there's no comparison to like any. Phew, there's no comparison to any like dopamine energic drug like Adderall,
Mm.
cocaine,
Yeah.
ecstasy.
Molly, yeah.
You know, these things just
Yeah.
promote dopamine, like, and it's not all dopamine, like serotonin. You know, it's like honestly, eat a diet that's dopamine's made from L-tyrosine, right? You know, so eat a diet, that's rich in L-tyrosine, like red fish I'm sorry, red meat, and
Fish skin.
serotonin is from L-tryptophan, right?
Yep.
So like sweet potatoes and different things like that. Um, there's a lot to it though, right? Because you
Yeah.
go down that serotonin pathway and inflammation blocks it completely, right? And this is like a big one. The serotonin pathway is where you have L-tryptophan gets converted to 5-hydroxy L-tryptophan and then to um, pregnenolone, and then it's just like then your body, do we need serotonin or do we need serotonin or do we need melatonin, because they're both from that,
Mhm.
But when your gut is inflamed, because all this is happening in the gut, and most of us have an inflamed gut. Most people, like lifestyle people, because
Mm.
of
Well, I
the
know
foods
you
we
went
eat.
you went through some major
Yeah.
gut health
Yeah,
issues.
right. And it's like it's amazing. Like if you're not eating a clean diet, you're inflamed, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because all our food is filled with seed oils, which are highly
Gee,
inflammatory, right?
that's the
Highly
problem. Yeah.
inflammatory.
Yeah.
And just a side note, I just got back from a vacation in Europe, and you just you go up to the, like, if you go up, you look at the bag of Doritos, and it's different ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
In
It's
Europe?
yeah,
Yeah.
different ingredients in Europe. There's no seed oils. You won't see hydrogenated cottonseed oil, safflower
Oh, okay.
oil.
Palm
You don't
oil.
see any palm oil. You don't see any of that stuff. It's
Red
non-existent.
40
Yeah,
and all of that
it-
other stuff.
but in
None of that.
America, it's in all our shit,
Everything.
right? And it's extremely inflammatory. Anyway, when your gut is inflamed, serotonin doesn't get produced like that. What happens, instead of the serotonin pathway, your body converts to something called the kynurenine pathway. And the kynurenine pathway is L-tryptophan broken to 5-hydroxy L-tryptophan. And then from there, it goes into a brain neurotoxin called quinolinic acid. And
Mm.
quinolinic acid literally like causes anxiety and depression. It's like going the opposite effect
Right.
of what you want from serotonin, like
Mhm.
to bring you up,
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And it's like, this is why SSRIs,
Mm.
I haven't heard this. This is my hypothesis, right? Because it just makes sense to me, right? SSRIs basically tricks your body, right? That's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right? It cuts that feedback mechanism that states, okay, well, there's too much serotonin in the body, time to shut off the production, right? So it turns off that serotonin pathway, where the L-tryptophan gets all that. But the SSRI tells the body, oh, because it blocks the reuptake
Right.
of it, like to the hypothalamus in the brain, and it tells your body, we need more. We need to produce more. But if your gut is inflamed, what is your body doing? It's producing more of that quinolinic acid.
Bad stuff.
And what happens, right? We all see this, right?
Increase in anxiety.
Suicidal thoughts.
Mhm.
It increases your depression. Like that's part of the side effects of SSRIs. And it's because they're not addressing the nutritional part. Like if
Yeah.
your gut is inflamed, which America has been poisoning us with all this garbage inflamed shit, and now we're like putting this drug in that tells our body to produce more, but the wrong factory is producing the wrong fucking
Mm-hmm.
product,
Yeah.
that's damaging us instead of helping us.
It's like you need unleaded fuel, but you're putting diesel in there.
Yeah,
And it's just
exactly.
Besides,
And I'm
take
convinced
that.
that's why you're getting that I mean, I'm not a psychologist or a doctor. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not pretending to be one, right? I'm just
A
somebody.
nerd.
Yeah, a nerd, exactly. I used to have this pendant, this
I was
necklace.
about to say, oh, pocket protector.
No. I used to have this pendant, and it was the molecular structure of testosterone, right?
Yeah,
I remember like, what is that? Because again, it had the 5 hexagons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's actually symbolizes me. And they're like, what? I'm like, well, I'm a nerd, but I'm an alpha nerd. Because it is testosterone. But
Yeah, right.
yeah. But I like, I always had this analytical mind where I just had to understand how shit works. and it drives me nuts if I don't understand how it works. Like, so I have to research and I'm like, I need to know how this works, but when you go into like human biology, sometimes you just gotta like bow out.
You gotta
and be
just like, yeah,
I trust you,
I know
doc, that
enough.
it does this.
But for the most part, we see it predominantly where a lot of people really don't understand. A lot comes from your gut, and
A
they like
lot.
how they said that's your actually you got
Yeah.
two brains, right?
Right.
So for me, the people that I help, I try to get that squared away and right first before we
So important.
start to go into like every other angle. But I keep everything else into account, not just like, oh, too bad, just eat it because that's what's on your menu or whatever. It's like, no, if you're allergic to the food as well too, or
Oh,
have
yeah.
some
Yeah.
type of allergy, your body's gonna inflame even more and reject it.
Well, like one of like
Yeah.
the best like vegetables, right, would be like onions are really good or garlic is really good. But I had a client who had an allium allergy, but she didn't know. She didn't know. And so it was like every time she had garlic or put onions in her food, she was just like she felt like complete shit.
Mm.
And then we did this little test, figured out she has like an allium allergy. So we just cut those out of her diet. Totally great. Everything's perfect. She's pooping like how she wants to. She's dropping weight. She's not bloated. Her acne goes away. Like just complete night and day
Almost
change.
all those autoimmune diseases like can be cured from like by food elimination, right? It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
that's where
yeah.
the carnivore like
But
diet.
proper food, like look at the all
Yeah.
of the stuff that they like. I don't want to say on YouTube, but the things that they put on our foods
Oh yeah.
prior to it even getting to us,
Oh,
So
don't even get me started down this. That's a whole nother
yeah,
podcast.
and
Yeah.
we've covered that before. Everything they put in the food, water, in our
Even
air,
our soils.
the soil.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you mitigate that unless you grow your own food and hunt your own,
But even then, cloud seeding is real.
There we go.
They are dropping
we
aluminum
go.
barium. And this is legit
Yeah,
because
it is.
we
It
have
is.
freaking patents on this stuff.
Yeah, we
They
do.
finding it on our soil. They're finding it and these are toxins. So even if you got your little garden outside, because some rich asshole thinks that you can block out the sun, we can stop global warming, we're gonna drop aluminum barium in the. What a fucking idiot! Just like again.
That's a whole different
Oh
podcast.
Jesus
Yeah.
Good
Christ!
thing we're not in China right now. You
We'll do-
disappear next
I'm
week.
talking about
I
you,
know.
Bill Gates.
They would show up right now.
Yeah.
Even though this isn't live, they would show up. They would know.
Yeah, it's a,
Yeah,
it's a,
they're watching
They're
this
like
second
tapped
right
in. They'd be
now.
like, go over there and get them. No, they'd probably be like, oh, how many followers do they have? Oh, 200 fucking.
but obviously there's an advantage. Obviously
200, fuck it.
there's
Ain't nobody
there's a
watching.
huge advantage to like growing your own food. So you're not putting any pesticides in it.
Oh, yeah.
You regenerate your own soil.
Mm.
Let plants die into the soil.
Yeah,
like
make your own
y-
compost.
yeah,
Honestly,
right.
They taste better. Like
Yeah, they
it's,
do.
It's not major, but I have like a small little herb garden, and it's like I use my own parsley, my own cilantro and stuff for like all my cooking, and it's just better. Like some of the like like locally grown stuff at like Safeway and stuff isn't bad, or farmers market, not bad. But like the ones that I grow myself, I'm just like, this just tastes better.
Oh,
You-
the
you
avocados on my
grow?
tree are the best I've ever had.
Grow,
Wait,
grow a little
Really?
herb garden on my lanai.
I was like, you live in an apartment. Like,
Yeah, it's on my
It's just-
lanai, but
Jody's.
they're really cool. They're like these
Jody's
vertical
garden.
tubes. They're like these vertical tubes with these
Fucking Jody's garden.
little
Wow.
coming off
Oh,
the
there's a
sides.
lot of indoor gardens like
I
that.
fucking
Yeah.
didn't know you were a botanist, bro.
Dude, I got my own little garden. I grow flowers. I got all kinds of
musician,
plants.
botanist,
I
Jack
like to
of all
cook a lot.
trades.
photographer. Oh,
Yeah.
you're a chef, a chef, a trainer,
And I'm single.
handyman, and he's single. Single ladies, single ladies.
Please help him.
I know.
He's
Please
available.
help him. Please.
Yeah, I just keep
help
adding more hobbies to
him.
my life and it's
someone.
distracted the fact that I'm so lonely.
So when did you get out of the bodybuilding scene and just, I don't know, made it a hobby to exercise now? Because you were so passionate about it before.
Yeah, I was.
What happened?
COVID?
COVID.
Nah, kind of. Yeah.
Well, I mean, COVID is where it started,
Mhm.
but then I ended up going to work for myself because I was working for my father-in-law as a contractor, and then I went on my own,
Okay.
and my business. Well, I started a business during COVID, making the plexi partitions. Jody was a part of that and everything, and it blew up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it
That's right.
blew up more than I could handle. honestly. Like it was like how many like people I turned down, like small people, because I
I'm
was
sorry to interrupt you, but you're doing those plexi partitions,
Mhm.
knowing that what you know, were you making them and be like, this is the most stupidest shit, but I'll walk my happy ass to the bank every
Oh,
single day
Sort of.
with
totally,
Yeah.
these
but it was
paychecks.
almost, it was a
I know.
mandate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, yeah,
But
and
it was so
and I
stupid.
thought 90%, 99% of what like the states were mandating was total horseshit.
But you made money. Thank you,
I
state.
yeah, I did.
We made money. The thing is
But
too is like these businesses or companies or whatever, right? They're getting all these like the PPE loans and all
Funding.
that.
yeah,
you
and I
know,
was
to
getting
do
paid
it.
for that, like because like
You had to
I mean,
fight for it.
like we did like the Modern Hotel, the Prince
Oh my God, I
Waikiki,
remember that.
LCC,
but LCC was the biggest one. Like we did all the partitions. Well,
everything.
they were starting like in the beginning, they were getting them from the mainland. And was like, oh my God, there's a local company doing them.
Yeah.
And so
And
they
we
were
can customize them.
yeah, right. And I was customizing them exactly like to match the
That's so
wood
funny.
of the furniture that was around them and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like,
Better than the plastic shower curtains that people were doing.
oh yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, they still have that nice teak one I did
Oh,
at
nice.
the desk at the Modern Hotel.
They
Oh,
still
yeah.
leave it
They
there?
they leave it there
Yes.
because it's that nice.
It is
Bro, that was
nice.
nice.
It's fucking beautiful.
That was like, and
That one's
Prince
really
is
good.
still using those red oak partitions we
Oh
made.
yeah. Oh,
Yep, yep.
yes.
Wow.
What about
And-
that
I guess
bar
it
top
looked
one?
good,
And
so.
LCC in the visitor center still has the maple ones that we did. They
Oh,
still
those are
have them
cool.
up.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
Totally
awesome.
necessary.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, we made some really nice ones. They weren't just like cheesy garbage ones,
yeah.
but they were paying for them, Yeah. But the we made our money on those, like the big ones like that. But honestly, I wasn't making much money at all on like the little businesses, like
Mm.
the restaurant. I did hair salons and
Oh yeah.
numerous
Well,
like bars
not,
and
not to mention the
restaurants.
price of plexiglass and the price of wood
Yeah.
and like every fucking
Everything
piece of
skyrocketed, yeah.
supplies we needed
Yeah,
double, triple, quadrupled in
Mm.
price.
which is illegal to do in an emergency like thing
Yeah, price
to jack
gouge.
prices, but there was a demand, right?
right.
So it's like, yeah, because I sold or we sold more plexi partitions than Min's Plastic, and they're the largest plastic supplier on the island.
Wow.
They even gave me a little Christmas gift because they recognized that I was buying plexi by the
Yes.
pallets over there.
Dude, we had so much extra plexi. Like
I still
I'm over
do.
here making like I
If
was
anybody
making
needs
like
plexiglass, it's
like
free.
clear like plexiglass boxes for strip clubs and shit.
Yeah,
Because we just had so much extra.
we had so much. I still have so much. I still have a lot.
When was
It's hard to throw away because that shit's still expensive. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty expensive.
when was your last show though that you competed in?
2016.
16. Okay, that's right.
That was also the last time I did a cycle.
Yeah. Oh,
So you're
okay.
not on TRT or anything
No,
right
no, I
now?
am RTRT, but I don't
okay.
consider that a cycle.
Yeah, cycle.
No,
I mean,
Yeah.
1,000 mig tests,
Right,
know,
and
stuff
it's
like
and,
that.
and it's
1,000?
it's not even a
Well,
great TRT because
1,000
it's like
maybe.
it's like 250
You skip-
250 milligrams like every
And-
2 weeks,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm often forgetting like, did I shoot last week or not?
Yeah.
I think I did.
Yeah, 'cause you're
I'll
just-
go another week,
And
and then you
not
like,
really interested.
but I'm so sensitive to it that I can feel it. I can totally feel when I'm low, and man, do I feel different the very next day.
Yeah.
Even though I'm taking like an F8 or a Sipin8, which are the longer ones, like within
There's-
24
there's
hours,
compound
a
effect.
complete difference.
Yeah.
Like that's like a complete difference. Yeah. So
Interesting.
TRT.
Do you have any clients that are bodybuilding currently or competing at?
No,
Oh, you
I
completely-
haven't even been personal because
Wow.
honestly, after the plexi partition, my regular business, like I built like
blew
a
up.
few restaurants and like I'm still turning down an equal amount of work
Well,
that I'm getting.
Well, and I think that's partly why you stopped training because before you used to have clients, so that'd be a reason for you to get in here. So
Yeah.
you would work out, you train
Right.
your clients, and you do your job. But then it got to the point where all you did was your
But I
job
did-
outside of here.
But I
so-
never, it was training clients was, in fact, I've trained numerous clients for free,
Right.
for a long
that
time
was
because
secondary.
I just,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was my passion.
Yeah.
But I never made I didn't make the majority. I didn't even make like a lot of money training clients at all. I was like, I think I was cheaper than everybody else for one. I just was, but it wasn't my full-time job. Like I had a full-time job, and then I would come in and train clients, yeah, that would like automatically bring me into the gym to train.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where like, because I was working 7 days a week up until honestly just a couple of months ago from COVID. Like I was literally working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I was so busy. 2021, I had 3 days off the entire year. I worked
Jeez.
every day except for 3 days,
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
you know? And then even the year after, 5 days off the entire year.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I couldn't get in to train clients, and it was costing me to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
taking you away from your primary job.
So what I
yeah,
like to do, and I still do, is I consult.
yeah.
You know, like somebody says, like, what do you think about this, or how should I do this? And I'll be happy to consult with them. You know, but and I don't even do that for pay. I just
I was just
Yeah.
asking out of curiosity as well because you have so much like knowledge and information that a lot of people don't have, you know. So you break down the science, and like a lot of people, a lot of this stuff you just mentioned is gonna go over their head, you
yeah.
know.
I
So
apologize for it's like I don't
no,
even know
but
how I
like how
yeah.
Mark was saying, like go
Google.
Google
Yeah.
it,
I mean, seriously,
go
there's a lot of
learn,
stuff
go
that people
learn.
don't
Or
understand, and
Well,
write your questions in the comments
right,
below.
right, right,
you
right.
Yeah,
could, you
that too.
could. And I tell you what,
But you know, everything I'm saying, these guys know. Like I mean, I don't know you that well. You know, I'm sure you do, but I know these guys know. But you know, they don't use the words that I use, but the pathways I'm talking about, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even remember how I remember all this shit. Honestly,
It's all in
It's been a
there.
while.
I feel like I've reached my Dunbar number. Have you heard what's that anthropologist, psychologist from Randy or Robin Dunbar? Anyway,
Mhm.
it's like for those who don't know, like he stated this. He had this hypothesis, basically, that pretty much everyone, you know, tagged onto is, you know, based off a primate's size of their prefrontal cortex, where we're only able to maintain a social relationship with 150 people. You can only really remember 150 names
Mm,
before you have to forget one to take one on.
interesting.
And I feel like that's where I'm at with my brain because,
You're kind of maxed out.
yeah, I'm maxed out, right? So
So
if something new comes in, I feel like I have to forget something.
you
for
got to
it to
dump
fit.
it. You got to dump it. So your hard drive's maxed out.
So
You gotta-
I don't
you
know.
gotta
Yeah,
dump. You gotta
exactly.
clear out information.
Yeah, like I need a cache clean or something like that. You know.
Well, I mean, we have a lot to talk about still. I mean, there's so much because I mean, we used to have a podcast together and all four of us. So there's even more. And we'll probably, I mean, we'll do another episode.
Sure.
Come in maybe next week. We'll do more. We'll keep going. Today our time's up, but we'll definitely be doing more next time. And yeah, if you guys want to know more, I mean, really ask some more questions. There's a lot of scientific terms that he uses, but it's
My
when you
apologies.
break it. No, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
great. I mean, I don't use the terms, but break it down, and then you guys you can understand it better. But definitely, yeah, you guys are interested. We're gonna do some more talking, and we'll get into some other topics because there's a whole lot of stuff that we can talk about.
Oh
Yes.
So,
yes. Yeah.
all right. So anyway, thank you for joining us this
Thank you.
time,
Thank
and we'll
you.
see you
Thank you.
next time on Paradise Pump. Aloha.